So hi, this is SciBlogger and welcome to our interview series. And I'm Magda.
And I'm Hilda.
And today we welcome our special guest, Mr. Andreas Eisenreich, Global Project and Portfolio Manager at MBCC Group.
So,
Hi,
hello everybody,
Andrea.
Pleasure to speak to you. Hi Magdalena, hi Hilda.
Hello.
Hi, we are really happy to have you with us today here at SciBlogger. And obviously we are meeting online since coronavirus is still a big threat. And this has become like the new normal routine to us since last February.
Otherwise I had to travel to Luleå, right?
Yeah, exactly. So back into this normal routine, we wanted to ask, how was your work routine actually affected by the pandemic?
Well, it's strongly, I have to say, because in my normal work life, I'm traveling a lot. So I'm with customer, with partners, with R&D labs all over the world. And as this is no longer possible, we have to use this online tool, or for different online tools, in fact. And that's really changed our way how we work with each other and how we communicate with each other. And I have to say, it's not a negative thing to use that. I would not say that that should stay until the end of my professional lifetime this way, but at least we learn a lot in these times, how to use tools, how to communicate via video conference tools, and for example, with MS Teams, what can be done with such tools in the communication all over the world. And in fact, my day starts early in the morning in China and it ends late in the evening in South America. And I can do that without leaving my home. And this is quite fascinating of my professional life, or my professional daily life, let's say like that. And we also have to say that I have never been so efficient than in the last year. So when we see what we can do, working from home without commuting to the office and without traveling around, it's impressive to see how much we can really realize using such tools. So I can say it's a positive thing in the end of the day.
So I think it's similar for us as well. And so currently you're working for a very big international company. So could you tell us a bit more about what your company is doing?
So it's true, I'm working for the MBCC Group. So it's one of the leading supplier of construction chemicals and solutions worldwide. The company has emerged from the former BASF construction chemical business. And after its acquisition by Lone Star, which is a private equity company. And what we are doing is that we will offer innovative, sustainable and digital products for construction, all areas from concrete to residential markets, tile adhesives, waterproofing membrane, refurbishment of structures, underground construction, all these things. And my current role is that I'm responsible for the global portfolio of innovation, global innovation portfolio for two important segments. So that means for me from industrial floors up to maybe some roof coatings on roofings, waterproofing membranes on the roof. So this is what I'm doing. I'm responsible for this innovation portfolio, and I have to coordinate this work over different labs all over the world, from Shanghai to the US. And this is what I'm doing all day long.
Well, really interesting.
Yeah.
And actually, we know also you from before, so we know that your previous employer was Imeris, and it is also a multinational organization. So we were wondering to ask you, is it exciting to work in such a diverse environment, and if there are then some difficulties that you have to deal with?
Yeah. It's true. You know me from my Imeris time, or ex-Kernios, and it's really exciting to work for an international company. So I started my career at a small company in Germany, so with only a regional business in Germany or Austria and Switzerland. And then once I had an opportunity to go to such a big company with a global perspective as a global business, it was really exciting. In that time, I worked in France. So my family still stayed in Germany, and I was commuting every weekend. And my responsibility was also a global responsibility to coordinate R&D activities with a local team in France, near Lyon. And you have to identify the potential of innovations in areas you don't know exactly. So in Southeast Asia or in the US or in South America. So what is the potential of such an area? What do they need really in as innovations? And this is, without any doubt, extremely challenging environment. Yeah. And for me personally, the most exciting thing was that you have to work with people from different areas, with different mentalities, with totally different, let's say, language backgrounds or educations or whatever, how we would like to frame that. So, because it's so important that you change a little bit your communication strategy. You cannot say exactly what you would like to say in your native language. You have to describe things sometimes in an easier way that everybody will understand you. And you have to cross-check if what you would like to say arrived on the other side. And this is one of the main challenges in such an international company, that you have to assume that what you are saying is maybe not what the others are really understand. But in the end of the day, it's really interesting when you do that in the right way, that you will gain a lot of friends and good colleagues. And in fact, I have to say, when I left Imerys, so I get so many good wishes from all over the world, starting from China, South Africa, Russia, and then you have the feeling that at least you left a lasting impression to those people. So, but it's mainly communication with different people from the tasks, so the things that needs to be done. It's basically not the difference of if you do that very locally, only in one country, or on a global level. In the end of the day, it's the same work to be done. But the people are really different over the world, and that makes life so interesting. And also, for me, it was a very good experience in that time.
That sounds actually really exciting. Yeah, so we have just a small bit of this sort of environment at the university, because we also have a mixture of different people. So but not on the same level of the number of people.
Yeah.
But you already mentioned your career, how the different steps went, and it really looks impressive. And to many young people who are now deciding what to do, they would like, those who want to go to industry, for them this is like a dream career, I would say. So we were wondering, how did you approach your career building? Did you have any specific goals set when you were leaving the university?
Yes. But that's a very good question. It took me a little bit of time to think about that. So once I left university, I didn't have any plans. I had some dreams, let's say like that. So maybe also some advice I can give to young people. So once you will leave your universal environment, your university environment, then have a dream. Don't have a plan. Nothing goes according to plan in life. So everybody believes that when you stay, so from my background, I'm more a chemist with a very technical background. So to calculate some plants and to make the very engineering of chemical industrial processes. So this was my background. And then I stumbled into building chemistry, because I worked as a student, basically in the company I'm today, or part of this company, where I'm working today. I worked already as a student in the holidays, and this was my first entrance door to come in contact with building chemistry. And then I joined a company who was working in the screed business, normal screeds, only in Germany. And the first impression was, oh, how boring is that? So screeds is not what I thought I will do my whole lifetime. And in fact, I have to say, The big advantage in that time, I had so many degrees of freedoms, and I felt in love in this technology of industrial floors. And this was my dream, to be very independent in what I'm doing, and to be close to job site, close to customer, close to the product, not to do things only for paper or for presentation. Huh? So this was what I would like to do, that what I will create by my hands will be seen by other people. They will love the product I developed. They will love the technology I will bring into the market. And this was amazing to see when that happened in the past. And this give me the motivation to do so. And I still have a dream. So I had once I listened to innovation people, they said, have a dream and don't have plans. It's like Martin Luther King said in his famous speech, I have a dream. He didn't say, I have a plan. And once you have a dream, you will have followers because nothing happens according to plan, as I said. So this is important, to dream something. And then so I have still a dream. So I have still a dream that I would like to make crack-free surfaces. I would like to extend the service lifetime of concrete, and I'm fighting for that. So this is my big vision. I'm on a crusade on that, so to speak, and I would like to make that happen. Yeah, and when I see also maybe the feedback on your blogging activities and what you are saying, so I see also the dream in your blog. I don't see only the facts. That's very impressive for me to see when I'm reading your lines you have on your blogs. You can really extract the dream of changing the world in some way. So that's a good thing.
Thank you very much. That was nice. Thank you very much. Really appreciate. And now going from the other side, like the other point of view, which is the challenge that companies are facing when young people are approaching the working environment?
Well, I can give you a personal view. I don't think that companies do have, I would say, problems with when people coming from the university. Maybe it's totally the other way around, but I can give some own views on that. So I have 3 important things. Maybe it's important what you should change when you come from a university to a company environment. And I have to say, I learned this from a friend of mine. He's called Peter Spinder. He has the education form. It's called Nomads in Amsterdam. He changed totally the way of teaching people. And once I heard Peter in a presentation, I said, yes, that's it. It's what we need in the future. People who are independent from being framed by some dogma of companies. And what I can say, what you should change is basically what you always learn in the school. The most important thing is that you have to make errors. That's so important. Make errors. So don't avoid errors. So then you are innovative. So when young people are coming to companies, they believe they don't have to make errors. It's the other way around. You should have to make errors, especially when you are young. Not big errors, but make errors. Another advice I can give you, what I see, is don't believe what others say. And in brackets, don't believe what you say. Challenge people on their opinion. Challenge people on what they are telling you is right and what's wrong. So that's different what you learned at school. In the school, the teacher will say that's right, and you have to believe that's right. No. In a critical discussion in companies, you need different opinions. Also, very famous saying from a general in the Second World War in the US, they said, everybody who has the same opinion than me has to go out of the room because you don't bring any value in the discussion, only to saying I'm right. Yeah, and this is a behavior somebody has to learn. And especially when you are young, you don't have this attitude. Yeah? But you can have that in the very first beginning. And the third advice is, what I'm always seeing is that people like to tell positive things and they don't like to tell negative things. But in the end of the day, a company has to know maybe a little bit more also the negative things, because they are risk for a company. And this we need to be communicated very openly. And this is not always the case. So people tend to say, yeah, I did this and this went good. I have never seen people who say, okay, I did this and this went totally wrong. Even the information is more important than the positive thing. And this is something, maybe when you go from a university to an industrial environment, you need this, you need these attitudes.
That's really interesting, because actually our previous guest said from completely different background, because academia, Professor Ćvižej has said similar things, that you should not be politically correct. So what you're saying is very similar also in some ways to what he said. So this is very interesting from my point. I'm just wondering, is it really helpful if you are not, how to say, politically correct from the industrial point of view? Because you're saying that not to commit errors, or not to say anything, not to say only positive things, and to be able to admit that you made errors. But will this lead to a good career? Or is it just you that think like this, or is it the general feeling?
In the end of the day, life will not be easier having this attitude. You will see a lot of people who don't like this. But in the end of the day, the success will support your attitude, because we need that. We need exactly this diverse discussion. And the more diverse we discuss, the more successful companies are. And it's true that it's not politically correct sometimes, but in the end of the day, it will differentiate you exactly from the others, saying yes and good to everything. And we need a differentiation. And especially also when you look into the, let me say, the talents all over the world, there's really a difference between different mentalities to do so, especially also in Europe. In France, I had the impression they are really have problems to say something, it don't work. And there was a French expression that was parler vrai, saying the truth. It was the door opener to say something which is not politically correct. And maybe you need such tools to say, okay, I will take this parler vrai option to say the truth and to challenge the state of the art. So then, in the end of the day, you will be successful. But I can really support you and your university to do so. And I think in the end of the day, it will be a successful route.
Okay, that's, as I said, it's really interesting approach. And as you know, Ilda and me, we are working in academia because we are PhD students. And here in Sweden, where we work, the research projects are mainly sponsored by companies. So we were wondering, what is your opinion, and if you have some experience with this academia industry cooperations? Do they work well?
I would say yes. So from my personal experience with different universities I worked together, especially more in my Immeris environment, it was a very good cooperations. The question is why? So what is the difference between an academia world and an industrial world? And in fact, it is the case that on an academia level, when you have a PhD, you go very, very deep into a topic. On an industrial project, we stop thinking, we stop working on a project when we like the result. So once it's okay, so then you can stop and then you will proceed to the market and bring the things to the market. So in the academia world, you can really understand in the whole deepness, materials, interactions, and you can develop new things where probably in the very first beginning, the economical feasibility is not really given. You can dream a little bit more than we can do on the industrial side. But I think that's a very good hand in hand. And what you're doing in Sweden is excellent, that you're really seeking for partnership in the very first beginning, instead of doing things nobody's really interested in the end of the day. And also for PhD students, it gives the opportunity to understand a little bit what is the need of the market. So where does it go to? And also I make the example from what I have read, and I already know this from the presentation I have seen last year it was the year before already, in Luleå. What are you doing? So once you have a topic like calcined clay, a mechanical activation of calcined clay, it's highly interest of everybody, but nobody is touching the topic because nobody knows exactly the economical feasibility or the self-healing of concrete. What you are doing, Magda, it's highly interested, but today the commercial interest is limited. But we need a different timing in understanding material and opportunities. And once such a work is done, there will be some business models on that, and then it will be implemented really in R&D work on industrial scales. Yeah.
Okay. And is there kind of any challenge that industry is facing then when it's approaching, maybe not in Sweden, but in other countries and according to your perspective? So what is the main challenge when approaching academia?
Well, it's always the time.
Okay.
So when you put normally industry would like to have the things get done quickly, and the academics would like to get the things done properly. And I think it's exactly this field of different views that makes these corporations so effective and efficient. That we don't have to follow the other perspective, so you can still do the things properly with all the scientific knowledge around that, only to tell the 100% of the truth. So, and in the industry have to push things that they will be done quickly.
Okay.
So now we wanted to move on to some less formal part of the interview, but still very pressing issues. So the first question is, do you have any specific smartphone apps that you cannot live without?
Well, I have to say yes, and it's difficult to say what is the most important one, but I have maybe what totally changed our life, at least in my age, is WhatsApp. So what we are facing on a daily basis is that people are changing the way of communicating. So when I was young, we phoned people, dialing a number without any announcement before, and we spoke to people by phone. Today we are communicating by WhatsApp. So I can say whenever I want something to a friend of mine, and he can respond whenever you want with WhatsApp. And I think the main difference of what changed by WhatsApp was that we can use emojis. So it's interesting because the way of communication via such a tool is different than writing a letter or an email, because you can use these emojis. So you can put a little bit of you can put something between the lines. To say something with a smiley is totally different to say something without a smiley, because it can be misunderstood by somebody only reading that. And we do that in our normal communication. Yeah, you have a smile, I have a smile on my face saying something that have a totally different sense than only saying the pure words in a sentence. And this is what I believe WhatsApp is a great tool in the communication, because we can transfer the context and also the emotions to people whenever we want.
Yes, I agree, and I must say that just to add to this, that yes, WhatsApp, especially when we live here in the north and we often with Ilda are far away from families, I think is crucial, because even my parents also got addicted to WhatsApp, and emojis are ones that they're using a lot.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Mine too. Okay. And instead, if you had the choice of anyone in the world that is alive or dead, who would you have? An online meeting in this case, because we are not saying dinner or lunch, we're saying just an online meeting with.
This was the most difficult questions, I have to say. And I was really in between a lot of things. But after that, I decided to have an online conference with Steve Jobs. In innovation, it's the best example that one person can bring a revolution to everybody. So I'm a generation, we don't know smartphones. And I remember quite well when Steve Jobs gave the first presentation of the iPhone, and how much such a tool changed our daily life. It was impressive. I have never seen another tool in my life which will really be adopted by everybody all over the world than the iPhone. And in fact, what I would like to discuss with Steve Jobs is how he sees the things now. Because when he died and let Apple being a company led by somebody else, I think the innovation goes dramatically down. So it's still Apple is a good company, but it's not an innovative company anymore. So that's something I would like to ask Steve. What did he wrong when he left Apple as it is today? Because an innovation culture cannot be only occupied by one person. You need a whole community who is innovative. And this I would like to discuss with him on an online conference, how he will see the things and what he can do better knowing what happens today.
Yeah, really interesting. Absolutely.
So from what you're saying so far, it sounds like you really work a lot. But we wanted to ask you also that if you were to choose one place to go for vacation to, and of course the corona situation would improve, because right now the choice is rather limited, where would you go?
Yes, this is clear. As I lived in France for 3 years, it would be the Provence. Especially, it has a certain image, and I was doubting a little bit. This is really a true image the Provence has, but it's true that this is a specific place. You have the feeling that somebody steps on the brakes of your life immediately, and it will calm you down in a few days. And you really are able to come to a standstill in such a what we live today, an extremely busy environment. And this is impressive to see that really this area gives you that impression. Whether you stay in the north, in the Provence, or in the south, or a little bit in the surroundings, it doesn't matter. But it's a very specific place to pass the holidays or the vacations.
I'm ready to go on vacation. yeah. And in Provence, I will gladly be happy to be there. So some of our viewers are probably young people who are still deciding what to do in life. And maybe soon they are finishing their master degrees or PhD degrees. So it's this point of the choices. So I wanted to ask if you could name one skill that, according to you, students or early graduated people should develop to have a successful professional life.
I would say the most important thing is that you are able to fascinate people about your own ideas. You need followers, you need co-workers, you need people who will support what you are doing. You never walk alone. You will never have an idea by your own. You will never launch a product by your own. You need followers. And once you can fascinate people in your surroundings to do so you will be extremely quick to realize your ideas. I think that's the most important skills. And I don't know exactly if this will be trained in universities. Maybe a little bit when you give the presentations on that. So in the end of the day, you have to see the eyes of the listeners, of the auditorium, to have a feeling, did you convince them or not? So I can tell you from my personal experience with you, Ilda. So you got me with your presentation about your calcined clay topics. I said, okay, I believe in that, what this young lady is saying. And this is a skill which is quite unique. The same for you, Magda, when you gave the presentation about the self-healing properties. And this is something you need to have when you would like to be successful, the most important skill. In the professional lifetime, you will have probably an elevator pitch, also an expression which is very often communicated, that you have only a few seconds to convince people on a coffee break, during an elevator movement, or on the stairs, or whatever. So you have to convince people with not a lot of words, and this is a skill we don't have. And also one very famous French saying is from Saint-Exupéry, from where I lived in Lyon. He said, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood, and don't assign them task and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. And once you can do that, it's true. It's really the truth. So it's a difference between leading hands or managing hands and leading minds. So once you can you can lead the minds, in the leadership, and then you will have a quite good career.
Thank you.
So now, last but not least, we wanted to ask you if there are any opportunities currently to work in your company.
Yes, in fact, yes. I don't like the word of war of talents, but it's always a competition of talents. I think companies has to contact young students very early. So we do have that with different formats and different platforms. We have how does it name exactly? I have to look at what is the name is before I say something. It's the Forced Construction Chemical Days. So you can apply for that as a student on our webpage on MBCC Group, mbbc-group.com. So we give a lot of platforms that young people can come in contact with the company, and not in a way that you only have to have an interview or to make an approval process. So it's really, first of all, to understand, is this the right company for me? Do they have the right values, the right ethics, the right business I would like to join? And this is the first step. And we have a lot of possibilities to do so. And it's still, good people are the best investment for a company in the future.
Okay, perfect. So we want really to thank you very much, Andreas. It was really inspiring for us also, and I'm more than sure it will be inspiring for the people who will go through this interview.
Yes, and it's not often that actually we can have opportunity to talk to someone like you that has so much experience and works in industrial environment. So thank you very much for this.
No, you're welcome. It was really a pleasure talking to you, and I only can encourage you to proceed with your blogging activities. I really like that, because we have so much influence for useless things. And it's good to have some young people who are influencing a community to invest their knowledge into changing the future. And we need that, especially for the climate change. And my last word is, I would like to have more than you, both of you, than of Greta Thunberg, doing things than claiming things. So we need doers and not claimers. That's maybe my final word for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.